Very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me this afternoon. So glad to be here. The first thing I want to do is talk about kind of the journey we went on this afternoon. It's been a really good one. I've been really excited sitting here listening to about all the excitement and passion for innovation and invention. And that is really where it all starts. But as Dr. Nova mentioned, the commercialization part of it is really part of it. Getting the invention, getting the innovation started, getting it going, having the idea patented. Then what do you do with it? Where do you go from there? And that is really the commercialization piece of it. And that's the piece that I can probably talk to best. My background is in engineering. I have an engineering degree from UC San Diego. I worked in digital embedded software and hardware systems for a long time, was pretty well expert in that. And then in the mid-90s, I got my MBA from UCLA and started my first company in 2000. And that was the end. It's been new businesses and new companies ever since then. And primarily, even when I was doing digital electronics, what I focused on was new product introduction. NPI is a term that they like to call it these days. I've always wanted to work on something new, something that hadn't been done before, and something that was going to be, that I had a lot of feeling toward, a lot of passion for, that I really, could just dive into. I wanted to take something and take it out there and make it do something that no one else had done before. I always wanted to be the first, and I think the people in this room share a lot of that passion. Only I wanted to get it all the way out there. Like as you mentioned, the most exciting day of my life is the day I we developed a consumer electronics product. I had it, took it to China. I got it manufactured in China. We got the first ones here. I had spent months and months and months working with electronics stores to get shelf space. I finally convinced an electronics store down in Orange County to put it on their shelf. And the most exciting day of my life was I took my family down to the store and saw my product on the shelf for sale. And I bought one. So with that, what I want to talk about is how do you get something all the way to market, right? What is that process like? How hard is it? And what are we doing at SensoryGen? And so I feel bad because I'm up here speaking, and Dr. Ray is really the one who invented all of this. And I want to take a moment and acknowledge what I mean, it's literally, as they say, right, standing on the shoulders of giants. Dr. Ray has spent years in his lab, slaving away, doing all the research, getting more than $3 million in NIH grants, working with the team here in Epic and in the Red office to get the patents filed, to get the patents, all the questions answered, all the back and forth you have to do with the patent office, to get the patent awarded. And then he went out and did testing. He did the prototype testing. Remember Larry's chart? It had the valley of death there. We're pretty much right on the edge of that valley of death. We have prototype chemicals. We've tested them. We've done lab testing here at UCR. We've done lab testing at independent labs. So it's not just us telling our own story. And that's kind of about where I walk in now, right? Is how are we going to get this organized? How are we going to take it to market? And how are we going to really access that market? And so I just want to recognize all of the work that Dr. Ray has done to get to that point. If we could go to the charts now. Let's see here. Forward. Am I going backwards? There we go. Okay. So SensoryGen, real quick. We're not a coffee company, and we're not a chocolate company. What we are is a taste and smell company. And what Dr. Ray is an expert. In fact, maybe one of the most foremost experts in how taste and smell works and how you can discover chemicals that work with taste and smell in order to elicit certain behaviors. Everybody has a behavior. You taste something good, well, give me more, I want more. You taste something bad, right? People are that way, animals are that way, and insects are that way. It's all the same across the board. But you have to be able to figure out, how do you figure out what an insect likes or doesn't like? How do you figure out what an animal likes or doesn't like? It's easier with people, right? You can just get a panel of people and ask them to taste stuff. And this is the technology that I'll discuss very quickly, so I'm not going to go into detail. And again, I wish Dr. Ray had 30 minutes to tell you about all the work that he's done. But I'll quickly go over it. But then I'm going to talk mostly about what we're doing to get this company to bring it to market. What we do is Dr. Ray has developed a platform, a software platform that analytically lets allows us to screen thousands and hundreds of thousands of chemicals in a pass in order to find chemicals that are taste or smell activators. And that's really it. We discover chemicals, we test those chemicals, we validate them, and then we're going to take them to market. Our model right now is we are not going to manufacture them ourselves. We're going to find partners that are already in those markets. There's big companies that are in almost all of these markets, whether it's a taste food additive, whether it's a animal livestock product, or whether it's an insect repellent or attractant. There are already big multinational companies in those spaces. So we're going to discover those chemicals, we're going to get them to a certain point, and then we're going to license them or partner with those big companies to take them to the market. And we'll let them take it to market primarily rather than starting to start a brand ourselves. How it works real simply, it's like a fingerprint. Dr. Anand has an approach that he's developed that lets you, everybody has seen the little fingerprint analysis things. You get your fingerprint scanned, and then the FBI looks for, can find your fingerprints. We do the same thing only with chemicals. We take the characteristics of known chemicals, we characterize those. I believe there's about 3,400 parameters that Dr. Anand looks at, and then we can screen those analytically through a computer, through machine learning and some very complex algorithms to search a database of almost 500,000 chemicals. So 3,400 parameters, 500,000 chemicals, a lot of computer analysis is done. The output of that is a ranked list of which chemicals on that list have the best correlation with the chemicals that we are using as a match basis. With that, we then take those chemicals, and this is now where the business part starts coming in. We look at them in terms of what is the predicted efficacy, how well will they work? We look at them, are they toxic? Do they have any safety concerns? Are they pleasant? What is their cost? Somebody mentioned cost earlier today. That is one of the big ones when you're talking about going to market with a product. It's easy, it's almost too easy often, to develop a product that is basically non-economically feasible. So we look at all of those factors, and then we come out at the end with maybe 10 or 20 chemicals, and then we go take them to actual testing. So where do we use this? We've applied it to sweeteners and sweetener enhancers. A sweetener enhancer is something that makes something like sugar taste even sweeter. So maybe you could have a product that has half the sugar, but it tastes like it has a full sugar. There's a lot of people that would benefit. I would benefit from that personally. I eat a lot of candy. So we've worked with one of the two largest soda companies in the world. You would recognize their name if I told you. And we have been working on a sweetener and sweetener enhancers with them. We've also looked at DEET replacements for mosquito repellents. That is our first product. That's the product that we're taking to market. We're proposing to take to market. I'll talk a little bit more about that in next slide or two. But there's a huge market. Mosquitoes are a huge health threat. Worldwide, not so much here in Southern California because it's basically a desert. We don't have, although we do have some mosquito populations, it's not as bad as at other places. But I'll talk about that in a little bit more. And of course, if we can repel insects or attract insects with people, we can do it on plants. So there's a huge market for agriculture. And we have partnered and sub-licensed our technology to another agriculture company who has been doing field tests for the last year, and their strategy has been to apply our repellent to certain parts of the field, which then would naturally drive the insects to the non-repellent part of the field. And once the insects are over there, they hit them with an insecticide and nuke them. And then they back up and they do it again and again. And you only have to do this for a short period of the growing season. You don't have to do it from start to end. You just do it when you know that the insects are going to start to be active. And it's usually about an 8-week period. And we've been doing this in field tests this year, and they've been going fairly well. And we'll continue to do that work. Let's talk about building a team real quick. It's difficult sometimes to imagine, where do I find the people? How do I get them involved? Why will they get involved? And it's interesting how Dr. Ray and I came together because we didn't know each other. What we did is my last company that I started, I launched a UAV company. for a large corporation. They wanted to start a commercial UAV company, and I did that for the last 3 years. Part of that was flying UAVs on farms. So I spent the last 3 years on farms figuring out how UAVs can look at crops and what data we can collect and how we can help farmers make good decisions. We had a consultant that worked for us who was an agriculture expert. That expert knew Dr. Ray. So when I finished up that activity in earlier this year, he said, hey, I know a guy who has a company that could use somebody to kind of come in and build the team and really take this product to market. And that's how we got tied up. So the first is networking. You probably know the people that you need already, or you probably know people that you need. You have to just get out there and talk to them. Find those people. You probably know people who know people who know people. And that is the best way to find the best people and then get them. Then you need to convince them that your idea is brilliant, that it has a great opportunity, and that you're passionate about it, and convince them of that passion. I'm more passionate now about mosquito repellents than I ever thought I would be. Then on our team, Mark Lauer is, we needed to build out somebody who handled marketing and sales. And in this, right, we're talking about going to market with a mosquito repellent, maybe with some big corporations that are already big players in the mosquito repellent space. Mosquito repellents, just as a side note, almost $1 billion a year already and growing with Zika, dengue, malaria, all of those diseases. You hear about them every day in the news. And so I knew Mark Lauer because I worked with him at another company that we worked with. And so I talked with Mark and I said, hey, you should really join up here. We are working on something that's really exciting, has a great potential. We have great technology, we have great people, we have a great university behind us, and you should join up. He joined up in a millisecond, and we kind of built out our team this way, just bringing in people we know. And I'll be honest, no one's getting paid at this point in time. It's all on a handshake and a promise. But if you're passionate, you can find other people who are passionate and bring them into the mix. And this is my last slide almost. I'll leave it here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the process of working with UC Riverside and the EPIC team. It is really an outstanding team that Larry and Mike have brought together here. The process is good. And you hear Marcus Lemonis on TV. He always says, trust the process. And that is exactly what Larry told me when I first met him. He told me two things. Number one, he said, you and I are going to spend a lot of time together, and we're going to become really good friends. And that is true. And number two, he said, just trust the process. Just work down the process with me. Even if you find it a little bit time-consuming or a little bit frustrating at times, there is some method to the madness. And I want to say that working with Brian in his office and Grace, who I talk to almost weekly, Larry and I talk weekly, if not more often than that. I've been out here at UCR. I live over in LA, in Pasadena, but I'm out here at UCR almost every week. Almost every week I've been here since April or so, because it's exciting to be here. There's exciting things happening, and the office is really exciting. I love just walking around the office, saying hi to everybody, and I feel like I'm part of the team now. So if you are thinking about launching a company or getting a company started or getting a concept started, go see Larry or whoever his designee is and get started in that process and work down that process. The EIRs, I can't say enough nice things about all of you folks who have listened to my briefings. Some of them pretty bad, I'll be honest. It needed some work at the beginning, but we worked through that. We got the business, we tightened up the story through all those conversations. We refined how we were going to go engage with these big companies. We have since engaged with one of the largest names in the world, if I could tell you who that was, and they are hugely interested in our mosquito repellent. Once we got the story straight and clear and precise, we were able to go and talk to VCs. That has been very positive. We're getting very good feedback, and I'm hoping that pretty soon we have an announcement to make. We're getting close. Not quite there yet, but I'm working with Larry, and we're going to try to see if we can get in front of some folks again next week or two and see if we can get to a commitment level. But the process works. The people are great. People are hugely knowledgeable, and I've appreciated every minute of every day that people have spent to help us. And Larry, the other thing Larry tells me is never forget, we are here to help you be successful, and I can't say that is honestly the truth. They have done everything to help Dr. Ray and us be successful, and he hasn't asked for anything in return. I really wish there was something we could do, but I was so glad to come here today and speak to this and be a witness to the process and to encourage other people to follow down that also. Thank you.